Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are gonna generate a fixed width flat file using Azure Data Factory. I picked this scenario because I faced a couple of challenges in one of my assignment where we are trying to replicate a scenario from Informatica to ADF, where Informatica was generating a fixed width file and we wanted the same using ADF. So for this demonstration, I have picked a SQL Server database as a relational data source and a fixed width flat file as my target. And I have created a storage account, a blob storage account to store the files. And I'll be creating a SQL Server DB, which we will be using for our sample data. So let's see, creating Azure Data Factory here, picking up a resource group. Yeah, let me create this. I'm adding the details, the required details, the region and all, and creating a new resource group for this. So I won't be taking any Git configuration. This is a standalone data factory service which we will be using. So I'm checking this here. Rest all configuration I'm leaving as is, so I'm not changing anything. And there you go. We are creating a data factory service. While the data factory deployment in progress, I'll just quickly go ahead and create the other two services which we discussed now. So the next service which I'll be picking up is the storage account. So I'll be creating a new storage account. It's a blob storage account, which I prefer to create one to place our files. So the files which we'll be generating, I'm pushing them into an output container on the storage account. Yeah, so I'm just selecting the storage account name. Yeah, Central India. And then I need a local redundant storage. Rest all options, I'm not changing much. I'm leaving as is for now. And there we go. I'm just creating a storage account for this demonstration. Review and create. In the meantime, we will quickly go and create a SQL Server database as well. A new DB server and a database. Picking up the subscription, the resource group, and the database details. So here we will be creating a new DB server, and I'm just picking up the database name. Yeah, and the DB server, we need a new one. So create new. Yeah, we don't have that server, so I'll be creating a new one here. So this is the SQL database server which we'll be using. Yeah, so it's a SQL authentication, putting the credentials which we needed for our admin login to the database server, and creating a DB on this database server. Yeah, rest all options are okay. As this is just for demonstration, so we need to keep our costs down. So I'm just checking the options here. The cost is a bit high. Let's see what we can change to bring it down. Yes, and we need the sample database. So I just picked this sample AdventureWorks LT, which will be a sample database which we'll be getting with the SQL DB. So let's pick this up and let's see how much is it coming. It's coming around, yes, it's a bit high. uh, let's see where we can change it to bring it more down. Maybe we need to select this as a development and the compute and storage. I'll pick the minimum one, the basic one. uh, yeah, that should be fine. See, the cost have reduced drastically. Yes, we are good with that. Let's go ahead and create a SQL database, review and create it. Yeah, good. So by the time the SQL DB is up and running, let's see our other services which we have created. The data factory and the storage account. I'm going to the data factory. I'm opening it, the data factory in our data factory studio. To create a pipeline in a data factory studio, we have different options like author, which is which applies the option to create a pipeline, and I'm quickly creating a pipeline for our demonstration. So this is a new pipeline. In ADF, we have different options. Either we can copy or we can do a transformation activities using data flow. So I'll be using data flow. I just wanted to add some expression transformations and all. So I'll be using a data flow here. Let me name the pipeline first. Yeah. So it should be demo ADF. Yeah. It should be good. Let me go ahead and pick a data flow. So I need a data flow. So it's a data flow transformation. It's primarily we use data flows for data transformations. Let me rename these things to something relevant to our demo. In data flow, we have a similar kind of options where we can define our sources, we can pull our targets as sinks, and we can add transformations as per our requirements. And yeah, let's jump onto the database. So this is the database which we have created, and this is the Azure Data Studio where we are trying to connect this database, and this is the table which we will be ingesting the data into flat file, and this is where we will be defining those things in ADF in this data flow. Let me go ahead and create a source. The source is the SQL Server database, the sample database, and the table which we have seen it. And I'm adding those details, the output stream name. And as we know, in ADF, we need a data set and a link service. Link service is nothing but a connection to a data store. So, and also a data set is just any data which we can define that. So this is a new link service which we are actually creating for our source data. So picking up the subscription and then the details which we needed for our DB server and the database and the admin and the login credentials, admin login credentials. So we are good with this link service. Yeah, rest all things look okay to me. Let's go ahead and create it. So we are good here, and we are not getting the table option here. Yeah, that's the table. Let me see. There's an error. Okay. The DB connection is successful, and it should show us the tables which we needed. So yes, now we see those tables which we needed, and this table is product model. So we selected, we need to select that particular table from here as a data set, and then this will be our source. Going back to our source, we are good here. Yeah, schema validations, DB is good. And then let's create our transformation, which is a derived column transformation. So I'm adding a derived column transformations to pad my columns because we need a fixed width files and the extra spaces need to be padded. So I'm doing an R pad to my columns. because these are left aligned data, so I need R padding to all these data sets, all the columns, and then the other derived column I'm using to merge these all columns into one. As I said, ADF has limitations for to generate a delimited file only, and we don't need a delimited file. So I'm trying to merge all these padded columns into one so that we can get a fixed width file instead of delimited. So let's go and select the stream details, and this is the source incoming stream, and we need the column details. Let's add the sink also. Sink is very important. Sink is a place where the data is, it's a target location. We need to define a linked service again and a data set for it. And for us, the sink is the blob storage which we have created. So I'm just going and creating a linked service, a new data set for blob storage. So picking up the blob storage, you see that we have an option of these file formats, picking the delimited one, and then setting up those properties. And this is a new link service which I'm creating. And this linked service is for the storage account. Picking up the account which we have created. Yes, that's the one. And then we are good here. Good to go. This is a new linked service. And yes, we need to add the containers. So let's go ahead and create the containers in the storage account. Let me go back to the place, to the storage account. Yeah, so that's my storage account. Yeah, so there we go. I'm creating two containers as input and output. We can create multiple containers to route our files accordingly. And also ADF has an option to route the error files into an error container if we want to do that. So I'm just creating two here, input and output. Output is the container where we'll be outputting or putting our fixed width files there. Yeah, that's the one. Good. Rest all, yeah, we are defining the output path here. So this, we can browse it as well. It should come here. Maybe it's taking a minute. So let me open it again. Okay, let me reopen that. Let me try it again. Yeah, there it is. So we have this output folder here, which we have created just now. So we are good for the target, the sink. The sink is good. And this is the derived column for padding. And we need to pick a column which is coming from source, and then we need to pad it. So I'm just creating an expression here. This expression I have created to pad my columns. So I picked a particular column, product ID. I'm picking it as it should be a three character column. So I'm padding it if it is null. So I'm padding all the blanks to all the nulls to padding it to 3 characters. Yeah, so I'm picking only those columns. The third column is having most of the null values, so I'm omitting it. So I'll be taking 3 columns only. So maybe the product ID and the name. Again, the same logic for the expression. I'm putting it, and the name, yes. Let's see what's the length of this name so that we are not losing or trimming any characters here. So I'm putting length. I'll change it later. So let me save it. And the third column, I'll be picking the GUID, the row GUID. So that's the third column. Again, the similar kind of expression for this particular column, replacing product ID with row GUID. Yeah. Let me check the length of these, the maximum length of these in the database. So let me put it as select max length of that particular field. So let's check for row GUID. Yeah, I see. Okay, so let me change it accordingly. So it's 36. 36, we're good here. And then let's pick for the name. Name should be, I guess, 20 maybe. Let me check that as well. Uh, okay, there we go. Yeah, 27. Okay, good. So I'll put it as 30 on the safer side. Good. So we have defined the padding strings which we needed, and we are good. And the second transformations, this is derived column which we are using for merging. This is where we are merging all the string characters which we have padded in the previous transformation here. So I'll be creating a column here. So we have three columns coming in from the source, and not exactly three. Those are the three expressions. Actually, we have actually all columns are coming along with those three are actually changed columns which we have changed in this transformation. And this, the merge, I need to pick a column here and add the expression. So let me check that. Yes. So I'll pick product model ID, let it be the first one, and I'm putting an expression as product model ID plus name plus row GUID. Yes, let me see the data preview so that we see how our data is looking for the first column. You see the data is getting merged. It's concatenated. All those columns are concatenated. That's what we needed. We need all to be in one, all column values to be in one. Good, sound looks good here. And yes, this is the sync transformation. We don't need all here. So I'm just removing the additional columns. We are only interested in product model ID, which is actually the columns which we are interested to put in the fixed with file. So there we go. We are good. This is how the sync data preview looks like. So we have all these three columns merged together. Publishing the changes back. Rest all things looks okay. Good to go. Let me quickly trigger this pipeline and see how does it looks. Yeah. And also I would like to add this also here. This is the option where we can actually create a file name in our transformations and call that. If we want to have a dynamic file name to be generated in our target, we can do that here. So here I need to define a file as, but I will define that in my previous transformation. Let me go back here. I'll add one more column as file name, and this is a dynamic file name. So as this is this data is product model data, so I'll put something like product model and the current date timestamp or the current date. Yeah. So product model and then concatenating the to date or the current date. So we do string of the current date. Okay. Yeah, that should be okay. And then let me put it in the txt format. So it should be in .txt. Good to go. Let's see. Have we missed anything? Yes, we have some error. Let me see what is that. Yes, it should be plus instead of an underscore. So let me correct that. And there's something it's still showing as red. Yes, so yes, the .txt should be a quoted one. I missed that. So let me put that in a quotes. So yes, that looks good this time. So this is like a file name which we wanted dynamically generated every day when the job runs. It should have a file with a date appended to it. So yes, so this is the file name which we have defined, and we have to pick that as a file name option here. So I picked it. So we are good. Now the file which we'll be generating in the sync transformation will be product model ID underscore the date timestamp. So let me add a trigger and let me trigger this job. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, while it's running, let's see. I'm eager to see the data. The storage level still running. Let's give a couple of more minutes. Still running. So this data flow is actually have a Spark cluster. So the data is actually triggered by these Spark clusters. So the initial run might take time. So that's how the data looks. No, that's not that's an old file. Going back and refreshing, that's the file what we were actually looking. That's our target file. We see that we have a date appended to it, and that's how the data looks like. We have, yes, this is the fixed width file what is needed, and that solves the problem. So like Informatica, we can generate a fixed width file with ADF as well. Thank you very much for your time, viewers, and I hope this might have helped you to come out of some of the situations. And in case if this video helped any of you, please please give me a thumbs up and subscribe this channel. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Take care, guys. Bye.